The next area of improvement in critical discourse analysis of news reporting is identifying the discursive strategies which are being used by social actors. According to Annabella, this area has been ignored in media discourse studies. Journalism is typically a discursive reconstruction of reality. Rarely it happens that a journalist views a phenomena with his own naked eye at the time of its happening. Usually, he is informed about a phenomena, an event, and then he makes a report about it, or he visits a place where something is happening later on, and then he makes a report. So, there are always sources involved, and those sources actually uh, may have a very deep influence on what a reporter reports. So, therefore, we can say that media discourse is a kind of discursive reconstruction of reality, and it always involves the mediation of others. Maybe positive or negative, that's a separate debate, but it is always influenced, mediated by others, especially the sources of a reporter or a media person. A variety of social actors serves as sources of information for media professionals in direct and indirect way, in known and unknown ways. The media representation of social issues seems to be a function of the initiative of social actors to organize their claims and to project attention to happenings and problems. It so media representation of various events is actually the projection of social actors about those events. And as I said earlier, there has always been mediation of other social actors in between. The media's depictions of social problems will obviously depend largely on the preferences of the person who is reporting it, who is presenting it. We can say preferences and options of media professionals, including the news values in operation of that organization, that media institution. So, professionals' own choices, media professionals' own choices, preferences, their own view of reality has always an influence how certain things would be reported in the media. But they are also necessarily built on the ways other social actors construct issues, those which may be roughly called the sources of a certain media person. A good method, therefore, of a media discourse analysis, especially in news reporting in media, should account for two levels of discursive intervention over a certain object or a news object here, I mean. One is based on the source intervention. By source, I mean the social actor who is informing the media person about a certain news or event. And then we have journalist intervention, how they perceive it, receive it, and then project it further. Their own ideology, their own ways of doing it, their media policies would all interfere with it, would also mediate with it. So both intervention at both levels, at source level, who is informing the news, and as journalist level, who is actually reporting it, would, and his or her institution would also matter. For example, in war situations where two parties are at war with each other, we not only need to understand the conflicting views of those parties or countries, or we can say groups, but we also need to look into various uh, discourses which are produced about them. For example, of discourses of those social actors who generally oppose war, and that would probably would help us understand the media projection of those conflicting views of those parties at war, and would also help us understand that what kind of projection is being received by which party, and how far that is relevant to the reality, to the actual happenings, or we can say how far that is correct. So in order to understand such situation and discourse produced about such situations in a proper manner, we need to see multiple perspectives, and we need to see what kind of discursive strategies have been employed in here. Wondake focuses on the journalist cognitive processes in this situation and on the journalistic text also, but doesn't examine the previous discourses of other social actors, which can be maybe a kind of you can say uh, a thirst which may be fulfilled or quenched by incorporating more methodological tools in an analysis based on such developments or such tendencies. Fairclough also accounts for intertextuality, that means the progressive transformation of a text on a certain historical in a certain historical way. Uh, uh, the analysis of the strategies that social actors adopt to construct issues for the media is missing in his work also. So, what kind of though they account for some kind of connection between various texts, but how that particular event or news item is constructed, what kind of discursive strategies, what has been brought forward, and what has been hidden by the news reporter. Uh, Without such analysis, we probably would not be able to reach the real meaning of a text. So, therefore, discursive strategies of various social actors who are a part of a certain news item, maybe as a news reporter, a media person, or maybe something who has a voice in the development of the story which is being reported in a direct or indirect way. So we need to see what kind of discursive strategies have been used by all these social actors. There should be therefore a renewed attention to be paid to the role of actors' discursive strategies in media discourse. This is what Annabella emphasizes upon. It is important to study the ways they and their standings are represented in the media, and in order to do that, we must analyze their own discursive strategies in the construction of reality. So, Annabella strongly believes that we need to understand various social actors involved in a news report. In a news report, we need to understand the discursive strategies of all these social actors in order to reach the real meanings of a media text. So these social actors involve both the source, which provide information about a news, and also the one who further propagates that news or conveys that news to the audience. By that I mean the media person. So we need to see, to sum up, we can say we need to see the discursive strategies used by various social actors in a media reporting.